Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Papa Jug Podcast. I saw news about an interview with Kim Jong-un, and I had a thought about that. So, yeah, I think we're going to talk about that.
Party people, how you feeling?
What's going on? I hope you all are doing wonderful. This is episode 18 of the Papa Jug Podcast, and tonight we've got 5 topics that, for the most part, don't have a lot to do with each other, except they do represent some change. And we're looking at sort of the audiences as a whole, not specific individuals. We're looking at groups of people in the tens of thousands or millions. It's going to be an interesting connection, but we've got a lot going on tonight. So our big chat tonight is going to be all about the Adin Ross fake interview with Kim Jong-un, and that. We're going to talk about that. Tonight we're also going to be talking about the brand new Mortal Kombat 1 that came out. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2.0 leading into the new Phantom Liberty. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk. We're going to be talking about Studio Ghibli and the fact that it is, well, it's changing. And then we're also going to be talking about horror games, beta code, and what weekend on Twitch is like. It's going to be interesting. And then, like I said, our big talk tonight is going to be all about the Kick event that was quickly hyped, and then a huge letdown because people got misled. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. We're going to leave it at people got misled. That's how we're doing that. So first up tonight, let's talk about Mortal Kombat 1 while I take a drink of water, because pro podcaster. All right. Sorry. I've been drinking water for like an hour straight. I don't feel hydrated. It's weird, but we're pressing on. We're talking about Mortal Kombat 1 first and foremost tonight. Mortal Kombat 1, it has released. It's been out a couple of days now. I believe it released on the 19th. Today's the 22nd. If you had the early access stuff, you got 5 days earlier than that. And a lot of people are praising the game. It's very popular. It's doing fine. The podcast is legal now. I'm curious what that means in the comments. But Mortal Kombat 1 is out. And so far, it's got really good reviews. Right now, the reviews are bouncing around. Like Metacritic is kind of bouncing around between 85 and 88, kind of, it's moving around there. Interestingly, on the flip side of things, Starfield has had a massive loss. Starfield is now bouncing around at the mid 70s. So Mortal Kombat 1 is doing well for right now. Mortal Kombat 1 is being pretty universally praised across every platform with one exception. Does anybody know what that one exception is? Yes, it's Nintendo Switch. That's kind of the way it is. So it is there's a problem. There is a massive technological problem. It is suffering from a lot of issues right now on the Switch. NetherRealm's game. Jesus, I was like, well, who just made the game? NetherRealm came out and said, look, it's being addressed. We know this is an issue. We're fixing things. Expect a quick fix. We're going to get this done. And so that's a good thing. But like I said, right now, as a whole, the game is being well received. Graphics are popular and everything else. I'm interested in Mortal Kombat because, A, I'm old enough to have played the original. I was way back then in the day. I remember when Mortal Kombat first came out and all of the controversy, all of the just everybody clutching their pearls because of, violence and gore. And man, that was a thing. And for me as a kid, it was kind of like, okay, I get that. Like I was like an old soul. Like I understood kind of where the adults were coming from, because it was, for the time, a very, very graphic game. You had limbs being ripped off, pools of blood, weapons being used. I mean, it was unbelievable. It wasn't like, the shooter games. Shooter games, you were shooting people. You were committing murder. But it wasn't gory. Like, it wasn't that violent. It wasn't that offensive to the culture. And it was different. This was a different thing, you know? So Mortal Kombat comes out and it's crazy. Obviously, it has gotten much worse over the years, not only because of the graphics capabilities, just technologically you could do more, which is interesting, but also because of what the audiences wanted. The audience wanted more offensive content. The girls, their clothes got smaller, the weapons got bigger, the blood got deeper. I mean, it turned into, you went from just having a fatality to having multiple fatalities. You went from having multiple fatalities to including brutalities. And then I think it was Mortal Kombat 11. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Mortal Kombat 11 where the friendship came in. All of a sudden you could do this peaceful, loving, funny, ha 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 thing. I think that was 11. I don't know. I'm thinking 11. But, you know, so Mortal Kombat has evolved over time, but now the new game, like I said, currently its Metascore is 86. Let's see. The on the PlayStation 5, sorry. It's got an 88 at Metascore on the Xbox Series X and S. So, you know, it's doing pretty well. Currently it has a mostly positive rating on Steam. 77% of more than 2,000 user reviews are positive. So on Steam, it's sitting at a 77 mostly positive. So that's interesting. 77% positive. Now, one of the pieces of data that I got was something involving the launch of the day of launch. I'm going to say this in English, I promise. On the day of launch, it peaked at around 38 to 39,000 concurrent viewers. Okay, that's small. I don't know if you guys. I mean, viewer numbers are not. They're important because it can show the cultural importance of the game, because you're going to have more streamers playing it. You're going to have more people that are getting involved, but just flat out concurrent viewers, that is how many people at any given time are playing this game. And it's peaking at around 38, 39,000. That was kind of it. That's not great. It's not bad. I mean, 39,000 people at any second are playing the game. That's not terrible, but that was the high. So that's not great. I just keep going back to it. It's just like, it's not great. Okay. And let me explain. I'll put that into perspective for you. It did do better than Mortal Kombat 11. However, two titles currently hold a stronger number than that. Dragon Ball FighterZ had 44,000 concurrent viewers when it launched, or at its peak, I should say. And Street Fighter 6, which just recently came out, Street Fighter 6 had 70,000 concurrent viewers or players. Jesus, concurrent players. So, like, you know, I've never expected Street Fighter to outperform Mortal Kombat, especially because of Mortal Kombat's popularity and the fact that Street Fighter has always been kind of weirdly managed. It's like every Street Fighter movie attempt that's ever been attempted has either failed when it published or never got off the ground because people were like, we don't know how to make a movie out of this. It's been disastrous. But still, you know, when it comes to fighting games, Mortal Kombat has always sort of been that icon, and it's kind of middling right now. It's kind of like, all right, whatever. But the storylines of this, a lot of people are saying that the storylines have closed some of the mysteries around the characters. It's like, oh, now we get that. Now we get that. Like, it kind of brings the gaming part of it together. You have movies like the current Mortal Kombat, the most recent one that came out with HBO. That one helped because it gave you some new backstories on some of the characters. But for the games, this was sort of it. And a lot of people are praising the writing. A lot of people are praising the backstories and all that. So I think that's pretty cool for Mortal Kombat. I congratulate him on that one. I'm glad the game came out. I hate the fact. Let me explain how much I do not enjoy the fact that this is called Mortal Kombat 1. So stupid. And I know what they're trying to do. I know that, you know, because it's got story arcs, all of those things. That's been great. Do not call it Mortal Kombat 1. It's not Mortal Kombat 1. It's Mortal Kombat 12, 13. Like, I mean, if you go canon and go all the way back, Great. It's not 1. Stop calling it 1. But no, they don't. They're calling it 1. So whatever, life goes on, and it is what it is. Yeah, so, congratulations to Mortal Kombat 1, peaking at 38,000 concurrent users. And again, because let's also remember, Mortal Kombat 1 has come out, Street Fighter 6 has come out. You've got a decent year of fighting games. There's the new AEW wrestling game that's coming out this year. I think it just came out, if I remember right. So not bad for fighting games. Pretty cool year. If you like fighting games, congrats. GG's. We're going to move on to topic number 2 tonight as soon as I find my mouse. There it is. Topic number 2, Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. This one is amazing. This is pretty cool, but I hate to admit this, but I'm sorry. I didn't realize that 2.0 wasn't packaged with Phantom Liberty. I thought they were going to come out with this, like, hey, the new Phantom Liberty delivers 2.0. You're going to see all this stuff. Nope. I didn't realize until a couple of weeks ago that it was a separate deliverable. And it was. So, yeah. So it is now out. It supports all the top end graphics capabilities, totally new mechanics. It's kind of a big remaster. And I saw this great article that was on WCCF Tech. Excuse me, guys. NVIDIA DLSS 3.5 in Cyberpunk 2077 is breathtaking. The most advanced graphics ever in a PC game. That's a claim. Like that sets a bar pretty darn high. I was curious. So I go into this and I'll start reading this to you. So NVIDIA DLSS 3.5 and ray reconstruction make Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty the most breathtaking game ever made. Yes. Because you got to remember, that's in the hands of reviewers. That's already delivered to everybody that's doing their writing and their early gameplay and stuff like that. Ever since Cyberpunk 2077 came out, it has been the benchmark for graphics in next-gen titles. The game was a visual spectacle when it launched, supporting all the latest graphical innovations at the time, such as ray tracing, which was still very much in its infancy. It's been almost 3 years since the first version of the game was released, and CD Projekt Red has done an absolutely stellar job at overhauling the game entirely. That's pretty good. So if you are a Cyberpunk player, awesome. But again, it's not Phantom Liberty. I have to remind myself of that. Phantom Liberty is still coming out as of today, when we're recording on the 22nd. As of today, it is 4 days away. So then there was this article on PC Gamer. Now this was, again, speaking of claims, forget Phantom Liberty. Cyberpunk 2077's free 2.0 patch is a staggering upgrade on its own. This is the subhead. This is not the RPG you played in 2020. And I was like, just because they like up the graphics and improve some of the glitches, that's the same game, right? No. Quote, last month I declared that Cyberpunk 2077's Update 2.0 looks so big that you should probably just start a new game to experience it. Allow me to put my money where my mouth is. I spun up a new save with the upcoming 2.0 update installed, but not the Phantom Liberty expansion. What will Cyberpunk be like for new players going forward? Pretty darn different, it turns out. Quests are the same, but the way you play has changed drastically. I'm not even done with the prologue yet. I'm just not ready to let go of Jackie. But I'm convinced. Start a new game, because this is not the RPG you played 3 years ago. In case you didn't catch the official explainer, Update 2.0 is separate from the Phantom Liberty expansion. Jug just learned that. That was 2 weeks ago-ish. The expansion, which costs $30, includes a new questline, gigs, city district, guns, cars, and additional perk tree. We'll have a review of that, blah, blah, blah. Update 2.0 is a free patch that reworks large parts of the vanilla game, releasing a few days ahead of Phantom Liberty on what it was effectively yesterday. So that's fine. Here's the thing. You get, in just the 2.0 patch, you get new perk trees, reworked stats, reworked cyberware, new car combat, including cars with guns, and dynamic police. It improved... Oh, okay, so this is my buddy, Mr. Jinxie, one of our also regular co-hosts here in the show. It is the nicest looking game I have ever played, so I get it. It improved everything. That's high praise. I've talked about Jinxie a few times because I brought Jinxie on as a co-host because he has this really deep game playing experience. I meant game playing experience. And for him to go out and say, again, it improved everything. The police change is huge and is the nicest looking game I have ever played. That's pretty impressive. Okay. So that's live in chat. If you're listening to the audio of this or watching the VOD, I encourage you, come join the chat. Hang out with the people that are doing this live on Friday nights at 7:30 Pacific. Have yourself a good time. It's open. I even read some of these things, no matter who types it. So anyways, the effects of 2.0 started to show the first time I leveled up and was greeted with 5 perk trees I didn't recognize. Project Red has done full body surgery on Cyberpunk's RPG fundamentals, perks, stats, weapons, cyberware, and mods. Very little from the old trees have survived in 2.0, and the new ones replacing them are very exciting. That's pretty cool. So if you're a Cyberpunk fan, and I think I'm going to become one, because if this is the most visually stunning game, or whatever they called it, if this is the most visually stunning game in the world, then that sounds perfect for me. Know what I mean? So congrats. Cyberpunk is out. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty comes out on the 26th. So be aware of that, which is Tuesday. Yes, that is Tuesday, the 26th. So, make sure you pick those things up, especially because this is a nice refresh of the title. We always want to make sure that we're encouraging good game development, games that aren't broken, games that are put through a proper quality assurance process. And it looks like Cyberpunk does that with, thanks to Project Red. So good news there. Up next tonight, we have the interesting but niche news. So kind of like a lot of niche things. Like Cyberpunk is the big AAA title. Mortal Kombat is a fighting AAA title, but it's fighting is a niche audience. And now the Japanese legend that brings you Nomokone and whatever. Studio Ghibli is sold. If you didn't hear it, now you've heard it. The studio has been sold because the founder is 82. Like he's not going to be making projects forever. They have to figure out what this looks like. If you're not familiar with the studio, it is one of the most well-known Japanese animation studios to ever exist. There's no exception to that. The storylines that it writes are some of the most heartwarming. The visuals are some of the most beautiful. It is true, elegant storytelling and always has been. Very culturally popular in Japan and now worldwide, huge. However, the owner is 82. The founder, he's an old man. He's announced retirement a few times, never lived up to it. He's like, I'm leaving now. And then he comes right back. He's a very creative guy. He does not want to spend time away from the characters that he creates and the people that he works with and all of that. But the fun thing is, for most of his career, and I watched a documentary on him recently, it was pretty nice. He loves to just go into the studio when no one's there. He will work at home sometimes and just, he's just got a place where he goes and he creates these things. Yes, has been called Japan's Disney. Absolutely. 100% accurate. It is Japan's version of Walt Disney. And also part, not just because of the product and the fact that they're animated and all of that, but also because the guy himself, he is very, very beloved by the Japanese people. And again, now worldwide, millions and millions of people have been able to enjoy his creativity. So it's fascinating stuff. But let's get to the sale. Okay. So here's the deal. The studio basically got not entirely bought, but majority bought because the founder's son was originally supposed to take over. The guy's name is Goro. Goro was supposed to take over for his father. The problem is Goro has never wanted to. Goro, for different things have been said by him. In some cases, he doesn't have the same passion as his father. He is an animator, by the way. He does follow in his father's footsteps there. But he's always said that, he doesn't want to run it alone, which he would, which this is the part that baffles me. I think this is Japanese culture and especially business culture. Why don't they just get a partner? There's got to be people in that company that have worked there forever. Like, can none of them step up and be a partner to the guy's son? You know, hereditary passing on of a company is a big deal, but whatever. Anyway, so that's not happening. So ultimately, his son Goro finally said, "No, I am not doing this. It's not happening." And they had to find an alternative, which they did. They found one in Nippon TV, officially called. I always mess this up. No, it's not Nippon Television. Where's the full name? Damn it, I screwed it up. But it's Nippon Television, basically. And anyways, so they've had all this, and now Nippon TV owns 43%? 42.3%, right. So they're now the largest shareholder in the studio. They now have 42.3% voting rights. And according to all reports, including by the two involved companies, the reports say that their goal is to allow the studio to be managed, because that's what they're missing. They're missing a manager. They're confident that the creativity of the team will continue on in Hayau's tradition. But they needed somebody to manage the studio. They needed a business side. And now the TV studio can do that. The television world has stepped in and said, great. Now, Nippon Television, they're not strangers to this company. They've worked on almost every movie. They've done all of these big projects with them. They've put them on television. They're not strangers, which is good. It looks like from all the reports, Studio Ghibli is going to be in good hands. They're going to be okay. They've got the creative direction to continue. The vision is going to continue. The two guys, you've got Hayao Miyazaki, and then also, what was his partner's name? That's Suzuki Toshio. He's 75. Like, the next two generations have to take over the studio. They've got to do things without these guys. But like I said, from a business perspective, looks like the studio is going to be okay. Creatively, everything's going to be continuing with the same basic direction it's had. They've learned. There've been a lot of proteges. They're understanding what these guys are doing. So good news. We like it, but it is a changing of the guard. It is now no longer entirely owned, or at least, massively owned, by the co-founders. It's moving on. You've got a professional corporation that is going to continue these legacies, and that's going to be a very important thing. But certainly, if this is the kind of entertainment that you enjoy, I hope you take solace in the fact that it's going to move forward in the way that you've enjoyed it for so many years, because it looks like it is. All right, so that's what's going on there. We are now going to be talking about horror games. I read an article over the weekend. I'm sorry, not over the weekend. This one got added to our agenda, I think Wednesday night. I want to say Wednesday night. Because I read an interesting article from Streams Charts. I do that all the time. I want to make it a streamer, not Streams Charts, because that's too many plurals. Streams Charts. The article was titled Kings League, VTubers, and Horror Games. And I was like, that's an odd combo. Where was that collab? How did that come into the world? Kings League, VTubers, and horror games. Turns out it was an analysis of a Twitch weekend. The data that they were looking at, which I thought was the interesting part, other than the title, the data that they were looking at was, what are people watching on Twitch on a weekend? Now, the data is readily available if you want to take a look at like Twitch numbers. Twitch, pretty much all the streaming services get popular on the weekends because all of your students, whether it be, I don't care, K through 12 or even college, for the most part, they're out of class. They have time. They can watch things during the day. They can watch things at night. They're going to stay up late. It changes the viewership and traffic spikes on Saturdays and Sundays. Now, of course, that translates over the 24-hour periods for time zones, but still it is what it is. You can take a look at it a weekend. And, if you start at GMT, basically, start at Greenwich Mean Time in Britain, go 12 hours one way and 12 hours the other way, wherever the weekend starts, you kind of go GMT plus 12, and that's where your weekend begins. So it was interesting because they were looking at all of this. Big question was, which weekend Twitch broadcasts cause the most chat activity? As a content creator, this was interesting to me. Where are people chatting the most? And why is that interesting? It's because viewing is the easy action. Viewing is the thing that anybody in the audience can do. Fun way to get entertainment, great way to support a streamer. But chatting is where you're pulling the active people in. And in my opinion, it impacts the algorithms. If you have an active chat, I've seen no evidence to the contrary. I can't say that I can prove it, but I've seen no evidence so far to the contrary that chat does not improve your algorithm performance. So the question was, which weekend Twitch broadcasts cause most chat activity? Now, this was interesting. They did this last weekend, September 16 through 17, okay? Both days, I'm going to quote from the article, both days showed approximately equal chat activity from viewers. For example, an average of 35,000 messages were sent per hour on Saturday across Twitch. Okay, ready? Approximately 35,000 messages were sent per hour of broadcast on Saturday in the chat of the most popular Twitch channel, and that was only 35.3 thousand on Sunday. So literally a 300 message difference on one channel from a Saturday to a Sunday, and it's only one Saturday and a Sunday that they looked at. So you're looking at a narrow piece of data, but it's still interesting to take a look at it. No major holidays, even worldwide, no major holidays were occurring. So it's kind of it's kind of stereotypical look at this. So that's fine. Now, if you take a look at the total number of average messages per hour across the platform, that's over 2.4 million. But put that into perspective. 35,000 messages an hour out of 2.4 million an hour. One channel had a lot. That's a sizable number, right? Right. Okay. So anyways, blah, 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 blah. Yes, the channels accounted for the most active chatters, only accounted for 1 to 2% of the total volume of messages. Still, it doesn't matter. That means one person had about 1.5% of the entire chatting audience. That's pretty amazing. So cool. Okay. So typically, here we go. During the day, the most active viewers, the chatters, are watching streams of Korean streamers. However, in the evenings and at night, the initiative shifts to streamers whose conduct broadcasts in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. They had to, so understand this, what they're talking about, if you pin it to GMT midnight, okay, GMT plus 0, daytime, you're in Korea. Asia has daylight at that moment. Makes sense. That's not hard to figure out. When it's daylight, they're watching Koreans. As the day moves forward, you go around the globe. And now where are you? You're in North America and South America. Great. So you're now in Canada, the United States, Mexico. Let's talk about the Portuguese, because it said the Portuguese was also a popular language. Brazil. There's more people in Brazil than there are in Portugal. That's where they're speaking the Portuguese. And Brazil is huge with streaming. Brazil loves streaming content. By the way, quick tip for all my streamer friends, if you'd like to grow very well in streaming, speak Portuguese. The Brazilians will love you. Anyways, so that part is not a surprise, okay? So it basically rolls around the globe, daytime, it moves forward. But, at some point in the nighttime, you are going to get more interesting things, which is why horror content can be the most popular. Okay. On September 16th, from midnight to 2 o'clock in Great Britain, the most active viewers were on the channel of female Mexican streamer Rivers GG. Apologize. They sent 32 to 33,000 messages an hour, which was 1.1% of all messages on the platform's chat during that period of time. During her late night stream, she engaged with viewers during her own show, Lotte Rivers. Later that day from 5 to 6 p.m., her channel reached the top again. Let's just pause for a second here. From midnight to 2 a.m., she was the most popular streamer on all of Twitch. Okay, let's keep up with the time. Later that day, from 5 to 6 p.m., we're now, 14, 16 hours later? Okay. She's still the most popular channel. She reached the top again when she streamed a match And then, she streamed a football match between POFC and Porcinas as part of the Queens League. In just an hour, they sent over 55,000 messages. It's like whenever she goes live, she's the queen of Twitch. That's pretty amazing. That's impressive. But I want you to imagine 55,000 messages flying across your chat screen. You're not reading that. You're not keeping up with that. You might get one every 2 minutes. What? Maybe you can read it. Whatever. Slow mode is weird. Okay. Slow mode is a whole thing. It's man, 55,000 messages, which, by the way, when she did that, when she got 55,000 messages, when she was live broadcasting a soccer game, it became the best result among all Twitch channels everywhere for the entire weekend. Wow. That's amazing. Anyways, very emotional American streamer Casio caught the attention of viewers with horror games. At 2 a.m., he started streaming Poppy Playtime, during which viewers, who were scared alongside the streamer, sent over 33,000 messages. 33,000 messages for a horror game. That's incredible. From 3 to 6 a.m., the highest viewer activity was on John Vlog's channel, where he and his friends were holding an IRL stream from a nightclub. How you do that, I have no idea. I can't hear people when I'm sitting next to them. How are you going to hear somebody on a microphone? But whatever. Hot dancers, alcohol, and young girls generated significant interest among the viewers in the chat that morning. Viewers actively switched. After that was done in the morning time, they switched over to Mama's K of C. I have no idea who that is. Whatever. He was at the same party with John Vlogs. So they literally just went from one to the other. I mean, that's how big these streamers are. One of the top streamers on the platform, Asmongold. We've talked about Asmongold a few times here because mostly of the hatred for Kick. Entertained viewers on his second channel, Zach Roar, with his reaction to the iPhone 15 presentation. The streamer made jokes about Apple and its products, as well as commented on other videos and reactions on the topic. In just 1 hour, his channel reached 17.7 thousand messages, but it was enough to become a leader on the platform for that time frame. So completely different types of content. You've got entertaining content, you've got IRL content, you've got just chatting content, you've got gaming content. That's kind of the craziness. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., so a much bigger time frame, not like 2 hours, basically daytime in Britain. The most talkative viewers were on the channels of Korean VTubers Cotton123 and Voina. Sure. Both are representatives of a specific talent agency. They were holding a meeting of their idols in the metaverse. The broadcast turned out to be quite cheerful, with a large number of jokes, absurd situations, and typical bugs for virtual reality, which did not leave viewers indifferent. Highest number of messages was sent in the chat of popular French streamer Kameo or Zero. Kameo? Zero? Where's Letard? Letard can teach me French. That was from 4 to 5 p.m. During this time, he was hosting the KCX3 event, where different lineups of his team, Carmine Corp, played show matches against invited opponents. More details, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes. And then from 6 to 8 p.m., the most active chat was on XQC's channel. Now, this is on Twitch, not Kick. Was on XQC's channel. However, the Canadian streamer didn't have anything to do special to achieve this. Firstly, he did his usual reactions to funny videos and then played party animals. He did react videos and then he played party animals. So XQC, really, he'll just go live and all the chatting shows up. It's pretty amazing. I've watched it. It is very weird to watch. In the evening, the peak of chat activity on the platform shifted to the channel of Turkish streamer Hype. Viewers particularly enjoyed when he watched a replay of the show, something in Turkish, I can't understand it or read it, which he participated in himself the day before. So he was on the show and then he did that later. In the show, the streamer had to blindly choose a girl for a date, only seeing her childhood photos. Yeah, that's not subjectifying a woman at all. That's not creepy in any way, shape, or form. Anyways, so horror games have and still are a very big trend on streaming. It is a big deal. You've got to look at what people are interested in, why they're interested in. And I talk about this with fellow content creators all the time. Just because a piece of content, a particular category, a particular game, or whatever is popular doesn't mean it's going to be working for you. As content creators, we have to realize that we are going to be more inclined to hype a certain thing. And just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You got to be very cautious about that kind of thing. And that's why information like this is interesting, because you see different types of streamers succeeding. It's affected by timing, it's affected by category, but mostly it's going to be affected by, is that streamer, is that content creator kind of naturally doing this? You know, if they're not, then don't do that. If that's not your thing, you know, if that's going to be a struggle for you to be entertaining on, then just because it worked over there doesn't mean you got to repeat it. Go do your own thing. You know, I've said that before. I'm not here to be the next Ninja or the next XQC or whatever. I'm here to be the first Papa Juggernaut. Just saying. So anyways, VTubers, and there was the other. Oh yeah. In the final hour of the day, the leadership of chat was taken over by Royer. He was supposed to start a stream with the QSMP event, but the game server was unavailable, so he watched videos of food tasters instead. He still got 50,000 messages an hour in chat. It wasn't even the plan. He's just like, let's go watch some food stuff. Okay. People loved it. You know, build up an audience. Don't build up a game. That's one of the big advices that I can see. That was all for the 16th. He carried that over into the 17th. That was great. The QSMP event eventually did get in there with Baggy and Casio. And then we also had, where did it go? The Colombian streamer was broadcasting Kings League because, you know, it's his team. At the end of the day, it was still XQC. And then, of course, the World of Warzone Global Finals that took over, so that was a whole other thing. So anyways, just keep in mind, a lot of things are going on at the same time that you may be watching something or that you may be streaming something. You got to see like where audiences are and all of that. And information like this is interesting, but like I said, you've got all different kinds of categories that can win. It's not just one person that owns something. It's a particular type of entertainment, and it changes. It changes over time. People switch their taste. They don't only watch one thing all the time. All of that kind of stuff is interesting. So when I saw this little weekend breakdown and it was Kings League, VTubers, horror games, football games, you know, all these kinds of things, I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool. I wanted to learn about that, and I thought I would share it with you guys. The world of content creation and streaming is a very, very, very diverse place, and I like that. I think it's great. Speaking of things I don't like, let's move on to 3 assholes. Here we go. This is our big chat of the night. This is something where I stare at what I see happening in the world of content creation, and I wonder, where did civilization go wrong? For the past few days, Adin Ross, now of Kick fame, Adin Ross has decided that he was going to hype up an upcoming interview with Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea. He's done the hype well. As a marketing professional, I give him credit. He has done what I would have done with it. He did teasers. He did controversy. I mean, the whole thing, he got the world engaged. It started to get talked about in some mainstream media. They all basically knew it was a joke because they're not that stupid. But, you know, for the most part, everybody was like, wow, this is interesting. He's going to be doing this. That's because people are silly and they have no idea that no, he wasn't. There's no way he was getting an interview with this guy. Here's what happened. In the lead up to the event, 2 days before it happened, he said that the U.S. government was contacting him. They had reached out to his legal team, which that's how you knew he was lying, because he was trying to formulate the lie on the fly. You can watch him as he's broadcasting this. He's like, the government basically reached out to my, basically my team. And I'm like, bro, if the State Department reached out to you, you'd know who the hell they talk to. A, because you employ these people, so you'd know their names and their titles and their roles. But B, it's not every day that the U.S. government reaches out to a content creator and says, don't do this. They didn't, because it's not real. He wasn't going to do it. So anyways, he hyped all this crap up. Day of the event comes in. He goes live. Records were broken. Over 330,000 people were watching his stream on Kick. That's sad. I'm sorry. If you were one of those people, that's sad. You should have had the common sense to know that the reclusive leader of one of the most backwards countries in the world that hates America should have known that he wasn't coming on to be interviewed by a Kick streamer. Second of all, you should have known that Adin Ross is a pathological liar. Third of all, it's Kick. End sentence. It wasn't going to happen. And guess what? It didn't. When he finally brought on the dictator, when he finally brought him on, it was an impersonator from North Korea. I'm sorry, Jesus, from North Korea. It was that guy wouldn't be alive right now. It was an impersonator from Hong Kong. The guy bears a mild resemblance to Kim Jong-un. He pretended to be him, and he had a ridiculous... originally I was going to call it a Muppet level interview. It's not a Muppet level. The Muppets would have done better. We've seen Muppets do better. Sesame Street has better interviews than what he did. The Muppet Show had better interviews than what he did. It was just so stupid. And 330,000 plus people tuned into this according to the data that was available. It got worse. Let me say that again. It got worse. Because during the interview, Andrew Tate showed up. For those who are unfamiliar with the asshole known as Andrew Tate is what a lot in the media call a masculine influencer. He tries to tell young men how to be men. What he actually teaches them is how to be assholes. He tells them how to disrespect women. He tells them how to effectively do drugs and smoke and drink. He's a vile piece of garbage. He is currently accused by the government of Romania, in which he is imprisoned. He is currently accused, along with, I believe, his brother and one other, like a business partner, of rape and human trafficking. He's legally indicted for this. He denies all charges. They are alleged. This is the quality of people that Adin Ross, the spokesperson of Kick, brings on for entertainment. Really? This is what people are tuning into? No, maybe not. Let's not do that again. It doesn't need to, just saying. It doesn't really. This is what broke. Okay, let's put this in a different term because I'm going to have a stroke over this. When the debate happens, when people are discussing, is Kick a safe place? Can I bring my community to Kick? This moment set its benchmark for the most interesting content it has ever made. It was an accused rapist and human trafficker who teaches men how to treat women like shit, a fake impersonator that has killed millions of his own people, and Adin Ross. That is the pinnacle of Kick. Can you bring your community to that? And I realize that it'll be like, yeah, but that's not my channel. No, it's not. I get that. But that is the audience. That's what set the number. It wasn't a musical performance. It wasn't art. It wasn't a political protest. It was those three guys. Those three icons of bro culture. That is what brought in the big, by far, like it set the record by more than a quarter more than the second place. It crushed it. It was 27% bigger than the next biggest audience that Kick had ever seen. Those three guys. Is that where your audience is coming from? Is that the type of viewer you have? It's not me. I do hope, and I mean this genuinely, I hope that Kick becomes a better place. I would love to see more competition in the streaming platforms. It's not easy to do. The cost associated with live content is ridiculous. Just in the hardware, just the servers, the bandwidth, it's ridiculously expensive. I get that. But I would love to see more competition. I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about it in streams. I've talked about it on the podcast. I would love to see more competition, come face to face with Twitch. I would love to see more competition sort of break up the fight between Twitch and YouTube and enter more of a dynamic space. Give an alternative, but this isn't it. This is not it. They have to grow up. This is where 16-year-old boys, this is where they're going to go hang out. Like, this is not most people's audience. Most content creators are not making that crap. And it is just crap. So keep this in mind. Remember, I am saying I want Kick to do better. I want Kick to be a more professional competitor to the other platforms. It has such a long way to go. It's just a bunch of dudes hanging out. I mean, this is Kick. This is the icon of Kick, right? I don't mean Adin Ross. This content, this show, that's the icon. That is what represents Kick. It's what we've all known it to be. We knew why it got created. We knew why Trainwrecks went there. We know why Adin Ross went there. It's to do this, and they nailed it. You're like, yeah, this is us. It's like, okay. Really? I mean, you're literally live streaming a guy who's been incarcerated for rape and human trafficking. Like, that's your co-host. Really? Where? Why? Now, there was one cool thing that I liked about this, okay? Here's one thing that I liked when I was reading the stories of what happened. When the impersonator came on, the traffic, poof, gone. Like, everybody was, I think there were some people who were genuinely expecting the dictator of North Korea to show up. And when the impersonator showed up, people were pissed. And they were like, oh, we're done. We're leaving. I love that. I love watching terrible ideas, malicious, not terrible. Anybody can have a terrible idea. I have terrible ideas all the time. Any terrible idea can fail. I love watching malicious ideas fail. I love watching people with bad intentions have it explode in their hands. And that's what happened. So I was happy about that. But beyond that, it was just kind of like, whatever. So that's where we're going to leave it tonight. We are going to kick off a couple of reminders. So first of all, next Thursday, the 28th, I will be celebrating my 1,000 Twitch follower celebration on Twitch. That's going to be a live broadcast. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be Star Citizen gameplay. It's going to be a ton of fun for that. On October 14th, we're going to be doing the Rise Above collab. The Rise Above collab is going to be playing the game Phasmophobia. It's part of Spooktober. We're having fun with that one. So myself and a bunch of other Rise Above players are going to be playing Phasmo, and you can see that on October 14th at what is now 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. That time may change. I would just say keep the 14th open. We're going to do that on that Saturday. On the 20th through 22nd, I will be at TwitchCon. If you want to come meet me at TwitchCon, please do so. I would love to meet more of you. And you will have an opportunity to get exclusive merch that I will only hand out in person, only to people I meet at TwitchCon, and you can get there. So tickets are still available. The parties are sold out. All the after parties are sold out, but the 3-day passes are still available. And then the 1-day pass for Friday and the 1-day pass for Sunday, I believe, are still available. Saturday is sold out as a 1-day. So you'd have to get a 3-day pass to go to the biggest day. But so all of that's going to be happening. I again invite all of you, please leave comments down in the YouTube comment section or in the audio format of whatever you're listening to. Please give a like to the episode if you can on whatever platform you're on, and make sure that you subscribe to YouTube or, again, whatever audio platform you're on. Drop a follow, whether it be iTunes, iHeart, Spotify. I appreciate all of them. Wherever you listen is a very valuable thing to me. Just make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button, and I thank you. So don't forget, go have yourself a good morning, a good day, a good night, whatever it is for you, and I will see you next Friday. See ya.